Let's explain why you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. I'm a psychologist, and I'll help you understand why you're procrastinating right now. So most of us have something that we're supposed to be doing right now instead of watching TikTok. And a lot of times we feel quite guilty about this, or we feel even confounded by this. Like, why am I doing this and I'm not doing the other thing? And this is essentially why. So the reason for this is cognitive fusion and emotional fusion. So cognitive fusion means that we believe that the thoughts that come into our minds are facts, and we treat them as facts. So if you have a presentation to prepare right now, you might have some really elegant and cool thoughts like, oh, well, I need to make sure that I'm super rested before I start on this presentation because it's going to be really difficult, blah, blah, blah. And right now I'm not because it's late at night and I need to wait until then. So that may or may not be true, but you have to understand that that's just a thought. That's not some kind of objective information. And so a lot of times when we're trying to avoid doing something that is ambiguous or difficult, the mind offers up these arguments. And typically what I've seen, the more intelligent the person, the more elegant and elaborate the argument. Like for a lot of my clients that are highly intelligent, they can present me with like a full dissertation of why they shouldn't do something. And it'll be beautiful. Like the logic will be so sound. It'll be amazing. But it's still just an excuse. It's an avoidance mechanism, right? And the mind will do all kinds of things to avoid wasting energy and doing things that are of ambiguous reward. That's just that the way the mind works. And for most people, they haven't been taught that or they haven't accepted it. So you have to realize that the mind isn't some kind of perfect computer that you get to just input things into and then it does what you want. It has all kinds of mechanisms that will prevent you from wasting energy because the mind doesn't want to present like this really amazing presentation. It doesn't want to do all that work necessarily naturally. So you have to kind of hold all of these thoughts very loosely, and you have to kind of almost like question your mind like a child that is telling you that, yeah, I'm definitely going to do my homework. Like the mind just comes up with random arguments to try to avoid doing work. Like that's what it does. And so you have to be onto yourself. You have to be wary. You can't just take everything that the mind gives you and think that like, okay, this is objective reality. The second reason why we avoid doing things that we know are good for us and why we're procrastinating is because we use our emotions as evidence as well. So we feel frustrated, we feel bored, we feel tired, and we think that that is a good reason to not do something. And sure, maybe it is. It could be. But at the same time, a lot of times the mind uses these emotions, and emotions are in the body, so the body uses these emotions as a way to avoid doing something we don't like doing. And that's completely okay. Like it's very normal to not like doing things. And it's very normal for us to create all of these avoidance mechanisms because we do live in a highly complex, ambiguous world in which we tend to be pretty tired because of this complexity and because of all the things we're doing. And most of us aren't getting enough rest. But at the same time, it's highly painful to live like with this kind of feeling that like, oh, I should be doing things, but I'm not. Kind of this war with yourself. So if you want to kind of win this war with yourself, you have to start realizing that the things that your mind and body are doing are a way to avoid doing things. And that's okay. That's completely normal. That's exactly how the mind and the body should work. You should have emotions of boredom and dread. You should have arguments in your mind of why you shouldn't do things. But you should also realize that you probably shouldn't take those as complete reality. You shouldn't use that as evidence to dictate your behavior, because if you do that, then you'll always be on this like roller coaster of motivation, and that's a horrible way to live, because then you're always like waiting and hoping that you'll feel motivated to do something, and motivation's highly unreliable. Like it could come, it could go, you don't know. And living like that is extremely like stressful because it's so much instability. It's like living in a country that has no stability politically. It's like we don't know what's going to happen. Who knows? And so that's why a lot of times people feel so stressed when they live like this, because you have no idea what you're going to do. And that's terrifying. Like, that is terrifying, especially when you have certain things that you need to do for your own livelihood, like for work and things like that. It's like you have no idea if you're going to be able to accomplish this because you can't actually rely on yourself to not completely fuse with your thoughts and emotions. So if this is you, this is something that can be overcome. We can teach you skills in order to overcome this. This isn't something that's set in stone. So if you're interested in learning more, you can schedule an intro session with me and we'll start helping you develop the skills that will allow you to actually rely on yourself to do things.